how do I get my wife to trust me? Hey everyone, I am currently dealing with my wife's lack of trust in me. We've been together for a total of 12 years, 7 of those years married. In the course of our relationship, I cheated twice. Now, that is 2 times too many, but not to the point where you would consider me a serial cheater. One thing about me, unfortunately, is I don't have the greatest resistance skills. What I mean by that is I never initiate things, but if an attractive girl comes onto me, then it's over. You know what I mean? Like, one of my co-workers, I don't know how he does it, but there is this one girl who is the hottest person I've ever seen, and she wants him bad. But he's loyal to his girlfriend, and they're long distance. I told him, bro, we would all understand if you tap that. But he's just like, nah. But I don't have that level of self-control, unfortunately. That's why I have to set myself boundaries. This guy is supposed to be convincing us that he should be trusted. He's not doing a very good job. My first time cheating was 10 years ago. Now, again, I never initiate first while in a relationship, but this girl at the gym I used to run with started hitting on me and it was over. My wife, girlfriend at the time, found out, and I had to fight like hell to save our relationship. I set boundaries, and I wouldn't hang out with girls alone that I could see myself sleeping with if the opportunity presented itself. I also assured her if I ever cheat, or even cross her boundaries, I'll tell her. She will never have to find out from a third party again. Now, last month I messed up and I cheated. I immediately told my wife, and she is now acting as if I'm a serial cheater. She's trying to adopt some very harsh measures. She said she doesn't want me hanging out with women one-on-one outside of work. This has some serious complications because I have some women friends where it's purely platonic. However, from my wife's perspective, she doesn't trust me when I say a relationship is purely platonic, because I did cheat on her with a friend of mine who was platonic. But I'm going to explain why this is a bad example. So, in this case, I did tell my wife that it was a platonic thing and I wasn't attracted to her, but this is an unusual instance. So, the girl I cheated with, she's one of the military liaisons at work. To be honest, she has a below average face, and in uniform, I couldn't tell what kind of body she had. We hung out, and then I saw her outside of her military uniform, and she had a body out of this world. For God's sake. He says these things like we're supposed to agree with him. Sorry. He saw her outside of her uniform, and her body was out of this world. She started flirting, and things got out of hand, and we hooked up. I really should have considered that seeing her in actual regular clothes might make me see her differently. Still, now my wife is trying to set these terribly restrictive rules that impact my other relationships. The thing is, I have had other opportunities to cheat, but I reject them, cut them off, and then tell my wife. Normally, like I said, I'm very good at making sure the women I hang around with I don't find attractive. This was just a weird case, and I need help explaining this to her. Looking at the comments, it seems like OP actually takes this seriously and wants advice. Well, I think the only way you can both get past this is by her realising you can't be trusted and leaving you. Do you really think that just trying to avoid attractive women for the rest of your life is realistic? Your wife is going to be miserable unless she leaves you, and your best bet is being sad and lonely until you finally have some introspection and sort yourself out. That is, if you ever want to have a happy, meaningful relationship. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to marry her therapist because I am done? After our oldest was born, my wife decided not to return from maternity leave and be a stay-at-home mum. 6 months later, we started noticing missed milestones with our son and other concerns. We expressed our concerns to his paediatrician, who said milestones were just guidelines and not to worry. Around this time, my wife started to get anxious and frustrated more and more. She said something was wrong with our son and we needed to help him. We went to a second paediatrician who gave us take-home evaluations to do. They stressed out my wife, who said she couldn't fill them out because she was afraid of accidentally answering wrong. I did my best to fill them out, but since she was the stay-at-home parent, I needed her help on certain parts. She got very frustrated during this process and said that I wasn't supporting her. The paediatrician diagnosed our son as autistic when he was almost 2. My wife was upset by this, and the paediatrician recommended she see a therapist, as parents of autistic children sometimes struggle, especially the parent who spends most time with the child. Now, in some ways, that's the last time I ever saw my wife. Her frustration and anxiety only got worse. She is a completely different person now. She only communicates in therapy speak, and she acts like her therapist is God and she is her prophet, carrying her commandments to me from on high to defy at my own risk. Here is an example of some of the insane things her therapist has apparently told her over the years. Our son is emotionally abusive. He was 3 when she said this, because he intentionally withholds affection. I am emotionally abusive because I cancelled a date with her after she called me a loser and I didn't want to spend the evening with her. I am sexually abusive because apparently I was trying to punish her by telling her I didn't want to have sex after an argument. Fights don't turn me on, but that's my fault, I guess. I'm financially abusive because I told her I don't think we could afford another baby, which we ended up having anyway because she wore me down. I'm physically abusive because I put my arm out to stop her from walking into the kitchen when I was sweeping up glass. Our son is physically abusive because he accidentally kicked her while throwing a tantrum. He was 5. Those are just a few examples. I have more, but the posters are already too long. As I mentioned, she wanted to have another baby. I thought it was a bad idea. I have actually been trying to convince her to go back to work so we can afford specialised care for our son. But even bringing up the idea is, you guessed it, abusive. So we had the baby, which I thought was a bad idea, but that's in the past now. Our second son turns a year old soon, and for the past year, my wife has acted like our older son and I are the enemy forces against her and our younger son. She is no longer providing our older son with any care. I had to scale back at work so I could drop him off and pick him up from school, but that wasn't sustainable. We are bleeding money. I finally found an after-school program for him, which is expensive, but it allowed me to work the hours I need to. I told my wife it's not fair to our older son to ignore him and treat him like he isn't around. Obviously the baby needs more attention, but it's wrong not to give our older child any. It also isn't fair to me, because I hardly ever get to interact with our younger child, since I have to do all the care for our older child, and she always has the younger. She said her therapist told her that, in a way, our older son actually killed her first baby because he is the disease that replaced him. I said, I don't care about her therapist. This is about our family and she is neglecting us. She said her therapist said neglect was a weaponized term. I told her to marry her effing therapist because I am effing done. I told her I'm filing for divorce. She lost it when I said that. She said I can't talk about her therapist like that. I'm trying to alienate her from her support person and that's abuse. I talked to my friend who is a lawyer to get a recommendation for a divorce lawyer, and he told me that it's an arsehole thing to do to insult her therapist because therapy is important and it's not the therapist who told her to neglect our kid. Hopefully. This therapist has ruined my marriage and turned my wife into a crazy person. How am I wrong for insulting that? But if my own friend disagrees, I guess I might need a reality check. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't even have a therapist. Have you ever seen her and her therapist in the same room? Seriously, she either has a fake therapist or your wife is totally misinterpreting everything her therapist is saying. No way is someone being paid therapist prices to tell a client their autistic child is a disease who killed her real baby. No way. However, if she is insistent on continuing to see this therapist and following her advice blindly, then you're absolutely right to get a divorce. My husband being the victim of revenge porn has destroyed our marriage. Ever since this happened, I've been sick. My F29 husband, M30, has been the victim of revenge porn. Images of him were sent to our friends and family, and even some of my husband's colleagues. At first, my husband told me they were older images from before we met, but some of them were taken in our flat, the flat we moved into together. Afterward, he admitted the images were recent. He met a woman on an online dating app, and he said, after they exchanged photos, that she began extorting him. He's been paying her from our savings account behind my back. He paid her £5,500. Then, once he had no more to give, she went through with her threat and released the photos. It has been devastating going through all the fallout from this. Not just that my husband was on a dating app, but that he gave her everything that we'd saved and now we have nothing. The police say whoever extorted him isn't even in this country. He swears he never met anyone in person or cheated on me. We have been married for 2 years and been together for 4 years. We were saving for a down payment and now we have nothing. Nearly everyone we know now knows my husband was on a dating app and exchanging photos with another woman. This has destroyed me. I'm so ashamed. I mean, that is despicable. You have to think as well that if he got caught like that, it most likely wasn't the first time. OP also leaves an update on the situation about a month later. I have left my husband, just as I said I was going to do. I moved out of our flat on Saturday and I have a solicitor hired. I've begun the process to get a divorce from my husband. I will not be changing my mind. My husband is upset and he begged me not to leave him. He keeps saying he is a victim and I'm leaving him in the worst time of his life. He is having trouble in his career because the intimate photos and messages were sent to everyone on his LinkedIn. He might be a victim of the person he met on the dating app, but I'm not leaving him because he is a victim. I'm leaving him because he was on a dating app. He was messaging others, exchanging intimate photos, and he gave them £5,500 from our savings and left us with nothing. I consider all of those things reasons to get a divorce. Divorce in the UK is only no fault, so anything my husband did is not considered in the divorce. My solicitor told me that she will try to see if I can recover some of the money that my husband took. But otherwise, his being on a dating app or anything else from his behaviour is not relevant to the divorce. My solicitor says I will most likely not have to pay spousal maintenance because I have only been married for 2 years. She would try and see if she can get the money back though. I've told my husband there's no reason for us to see or speak to each other again. I moved out and I want a divorce. There is nothing else to say and I've blocked him. Again, I will not be changing my mind about this. Thank you everyone. I think the worst part about this is that he expects you to feel bad for him and consider him the victim. Real narcissistic. Thank God for the whistleblower though. I understand, like you say, it's incredibly embarrassing for you. But without them, you may never have known the truth and could have bled so much money. Thank you very much for listening. Leave a comment and tell me your thoughts on any of these stories. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.